Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks, Today the Hungry Gamer is back with another how-to play video, and today we are learning how to play Heists in Hyperspace. And before I get started, please make sure you turn your Klingon subtitles, because if there are any changes in the rules or any new developments after this video is posted, that is where you'll find those additions. Additionally, I do need to point out that everything here is still in the prototype phase and is subject to change. Now what I have set up here is a two-player game. The only difference between a two-player game and a three- or four-player game are the number of rows that you see on the board here. For a three-player game, there would be another row in between this one and the bottom one, and in a four-player game, there would be two rows in between this one and the bottom one. You know this is the bottom one because it starts with these extra tokens on there, and I'll explain what those do in just a bit. And before I get started in explaining how this game works, just a couple bits of information for you regarding setup. First off, you're going to have all of your extra tokens here, and you're going to separate those out to the side. You have your discovery tokens, your gems, your vault tokens, which are double-sided as both a red side and a yellow side. I will point out that the little bit of red in the middle is not how the final tokens are going to look. They'll actually be fully red. Your preparation tokens, your might tokens, and your smarts tokens. And I've just put those over to the side. Additionally, each player is going to either randomly take one of these different captains, or you can draft them in reverse turn order. To determine who's going to go first, you're going to see who is closest to space. And you can decide that however you like. Maybe it's the person who's tallest, the person sitting on the highest chair, or the person who is most quote-unquote out there. It's totally up to you. And it's important to note that each of the different captains will have some sort of starting bonus that you may have. For example, the conductor there starts with one additional preparation, and they either have a permanent ability, which is active in certain situations, or they'll have one that you can activate when you exhaust it or turn it to the side. In other words, it will be usable for most of the expedition. You'll notice that when starting the game, we have two different color cards. The brown ones here are your bizarre encounters, and for the first two rounds, you'll have 3 columns of these cards and then 2 columns of the blue vault encounters. Additionally, you have 4 treasure cards and 4 mercenary cards. Now the game actually recommends that these be placed sideways like this and actually next to each other. However, for the purposes of this video, so you can see everything the best, I've placed them in this orientation instead. Additionally, you have your ambition cards, which are cards that are in-game scoring conditions. And at the start of each game, each player will get 2 of these, and they'll get to keep 1. And what we can see here is the Legendary Explorer. You're going to get 1 renown, which is a victory point, for each treasure that you have that has a discovery symbol on it, or Well Prepared, where you get 1 renown, again, or victory point for each treasure you have with a preparation symbol on it. And you'll get to keep 1 of those, and the other will be discarded. And there are some cards that may give you additional ambition cards as you play through the game, but everyone's guaranteed to have at least 1. Additionally, each player will have a meeple of their color. We have out on the board these 2 reminder cards here that tell you what you can do with your discovery tokens, which is either to re-roll a die that you just rolled, or refresh a pile, meaning either the 4 treasure cards or the 4 mercenary cards, discarding them and then revealing a new set of 4. And then it is a reminder of what the different actions you can take after you've done a vault action, which I'll cover in just a bit. The last thing you're going to do is you're going to determine what vault you plan to raid. And you'll see there's quite a few of them, and you can either pick it randomly or you can make a choice collectively as a group. For this example, I've chosen the Molten Chasm. And as a final part of your setup, you're going to look at the pattern on the bottom of your vault card. And you're going to place that pattern of tokens on the bottom row of cards that you've set up on your board. Then you'll take a look at the specific vault and follow the directions. In this case, we will place 3 red vault tokens on this board. We place 3 of them because in this particular case, you place 1 per player plus 1 more. And we'll talk about what all the rest of this means just a bit later on. Now, once that's done, you're ready to start the game. First thing that's going to happen is the player that is going first will place their meeple towards the top of the board like so, and the other players are down below. The player on top will then pick 1 card in the furthest left row. They can pick one that's face up or one that's face down. Let's just say, for sake of argument, that they're going to go right here to the spy cam. Because there's a token on it, they would take that token. Then you would look at the left side of the card and do what it says. In this case, you'll gain 1 more preparation if on the die you're able to roll a 4. In this case, they did, so they would get 1 more preparation. When you choose an encounter card with the dice symbol on the top part of the card, You will roll the die one time, no matter how many dice effects the encounter card has. And I'll note that this token symbol is not the actual symbol that's in the game, but this does represent in this time the discovery token. So I would claim that discovery token, and again I'll point out that if I already had a discovery token, and perhaps I rolled a 2, I could spend one and re-roll that die. Then I would do what's on the right side of the card. In this case, I would gain a discovery token, and I would gain a gem. Now, these gems count as half of a wild. If you have 2 of them, the idea is that they go together like so, and they can be any color that you would like, i.e. blue for smarts, red for might, green for preparation, or yellow for discovery. And again, it's important to note that you have to go left to right. So if I did not have a discovery token already, I would not be able to use this one here in order to reroll my die. Then the next player would go, and it could go here, but for the sake of argument, we're going to say that they are going to go on this top one here, which was flipped over, and now they see that the Vault Busting Essentials, and they can pick either a red might or a yellow discovery, and that would be the end of their turn. In this case, we'll just pretend that they take a red might. Then, now this player is on top, and they'd get to choose where they want to go for the next one. We'll just assume they go there and claim 2 provisions, and the next player decides not to risk that, and they're going to come down here. First, they would take that discovery, and then we would look at the card. On this card, it says 1 to 4. They suffer the skull effect for the vault. So we'd roll our die, and in that case, they got a 5 or 6. They were successful, but let's pretend that they rolled a 2. And we'll pretend that they also tried to spend one of their tokens. Again, reminder that it lets you reroll a die, and we'll pretend that they again failed. Now, since this card has the skull effect, we would look to the vault card and see what happens. In this case, that player would take one of these red vault markers, which right now does nothing. However, you'll notice at the end of the turn, if they're all gone, the player who has the most of them is going to suffer a penalty. It is also possible to have this vault bonus, which would, in this case, would mean that the player would gain 1 yellow vault token. And we would simply move on like that across the board. Now, where things are going to change is when we get here into the blue cards. When you take a blue card, it starts out exactly the same. So we'll pretend this first one goes right here. And first, on a 1 through 3, they're going to get a red vault token, which they do like so. They would get 2 preparation. And then they get to take a major action. Now, the 3 things you can do are, 1, you can claim a treasure. And the cost of a treasure is going to be determined on the card. In this case, they would have to pay 1 might, 2 smarts, and then a single discovery. And for the sake of argument, we'll pretend that they use 2 gems to equal that last one. And they would claim this, and that's going to be worth 5 renown or victory points at the end of the game. Then once that's claimed, they would simply flip out a new card and place that new treasure down right there. Now it's important to note that many of the ambition cards that you have might be affected by the treasures you get. So in this case, if I had the Legendary Explorer, I would actually get an extra point for having this one because it cost me a discovery token to claim. The next thing you can do is what is called mark a treasure. That means you're going to pick one treasure and you're going to place it upside down next to you. That means no one else can have it, but you don't have it either until you've taken a major action to purchase it. In addition to that, you're going to claim 1 preparation token along with the card that you've marked. You can only have up to 2 cards marked at any given time. And the last thing you can do is, just like with claiming a treasure, you can hire a mercenary. Now, a mercenary will have its cost on the top right. It'll have an ability that you can use. In this case, you can exhaust this card to then unexhaust all of your other cards. And I'll also point out that each of them has a different faction. As you can see the 2 right here, we have the Badlands Brood and the Lizard Wizards. And again, some of the ambition cards will relate to the different factions that you have, and you'll gain extra points that way. Then, once everyone's gotten all the way through to the end, you would simply reset your turn order all the way over here. You would redeal all of the cards, and again I'll point out that in the last round you would actually have 3 vault encounters, so that means the last round would look something like this. Though of course it's worth noting, all of the cards from the previous round would have been discarded and completely replaced with new ones. Just as a reminder, at the end of each round, the other thing that you'll do is you'll check whatever the end of round effect is for your particular vault. Again, each one is different. Then, at the end of the third round, everyone will total up their score. Their scores can be determined by the various treasures that they've claimed, as well as any ambition cards that they happen to have completed. Whoever has the most points or renown will be named the winner. And that's it. That's how you play Heists in Hyperspace. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share. If you'd like to find out how to get your own copy of this game, you can check the description of this video for a link to it. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.